Welcome back, everybody, to the Redhead Report. I'm your host, Elie Gelman, and as many of you know, it is week 8 of the fantasy football season. We are just about halfway done with this fantasy football season. It has absolutely flown by, but this week is maybe one of the most important weeks of all. A lot of you guys are either, 5-2, 6-1, have a great record looking ahead to the playoffs. But a lot of you, it's crunch time. You're 2-5, 3-4, trying to make that last push to the playoffs. And this week, it's not going to be easy. There are 6 teams on bye. This is what we call a bye-pocalypse. So I'm here with my Week 8 tight end rankings to help you guys out and make sure you guys are right for this Week 8 bye-pocalypse. And without further ado, let's just get straight into it. Looking at our board here, we have 5 tiers. We have 23 tight ends. A lot of the top guys are not here. Sam Laporta, Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, all those teams on bye. So waivers just went through on Wednesday. So I'm here to help you guys. If you picked up some of those tight ends from the waiver wire, where they are projected to play as this next week comes forward. So let's just start off with tier 1, the studs, the guys that you start no matter what. Easy: Tyler Warren, Ferguson, George Kittle, and Tucker Kraft. I have them in order: Warren at 1, Ferguson 2, Kittle 3, and Kraft at 4. Warren has just been a set it and forget it rookie tight end. Rookie tight ends historically have not been great. Brock Bowers kind of broke that rule last year, and Tyler Warren has arguably been better. He's on pace for better numbers than Brock Bowers was last year, and he's playing against Tennessee, a tough matchup that locked him up in week 3, but I'm not worried about him at all. He's a set it, forget it, an absolute stud at the tight end position. And then going to skip over George Kittle right now, but Ferguson and Kraft are very similar to me. I think Kraft is a little bit of a worse version than Ferguson. Both these teams throw the ball a lot in the red zone. That's where you see a lot of these guys catch their touchdowns. But Ferguson, especially this Dallas Cowboys defense is terrible, and they have to throw the ball a lot. And he gets unbelievable target share, just gobbles up the targets. Touchdown, has had already 2 games with multiple touchdown scores this year. So Ferguson, another lock in your lineup. Kraft is the same thing. And then looking at George Kittle, played week 1, caught a touchdown, has missed 5 or 6 games, came back last week against the Falcons on Sunday Night Football and put an absolute donut on the board. Lost me my fantasy matchup. I actually started him over Tyler Warren, which was not a smart decision in hindsight, but put up a 0. I would not be worried about George Kittle. This is his first game back. You could tell he was a little bit out of shape. He didn't have the snap share that he usually has with this 49ers team. And this was a Christian McCaffrey game. He dominated, had over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. They didn't have to throw the ball that much. They just really relied on CMC. And the Falcons are the best defense against tight ends in the NFL. So I'm not worried about George Kittle. He's still a tight end 1 for me the rest of the season. And he is playing against a tough defense in the Houston Texans, but I still expect him to do well and finish in this top 4, top 5 area. So that's the tier 1. These are the top tier guys. Set and forget it. You'd be lucky to have multiple of these guys. I highly doubt it. But now we're going to move down to tier 2. And I only have 2 guys here. I only have Dallas Goedert and Dalton Kincaid. Goddard is taking on the Giants, who he dominated. I think he had a good game against the Giants a couple of weeks ago when the Giants upset the Eagles. But Dallas Goedert has had a great season. I think he is a sell high opportunity if you can exchange him for one of the top tier guys in tier 1. But either way, he's a strong start and should be good this week against the Giants. And then Dalton Kincaid, who has missed the past week or so with an injury. He should be back healthy after the bye for the Bills. And he has been basically the wide receiver 1, the number 1 target for this Bills team that doesn't really have a true wide receiver 1. And Josh Allen has been targeting him a lot. He's playing against a weak Carolina Panthers defense. The Bills have lost 2 in a row. I expect them to win this game, kind of a get-right game for them post-bye. So I'm expecting good, solid numbers from Dalton Kincaid. And now this is where we get into a little bit of the dicey zone when it comes to tight ends. Tight ends is probably the most sparse position in the fantasy football landscape, but I have around, how many guys I got here? I got seven guys here that are all startable, but kind of are interchangeable depending on what your team looks like. I don't have a strong feeling about one of these guys over the other, but a couple of these guys also are waiver wire pickups if you got them this week, and so we'll let you know. I'm going to let you know where they land in this week 8 ranking. But let's start off with two guys that are playing against each other. Travis Kelce and Zach Ertz playing against each other on Monday Night Football at Arrowhead. Both these guys have been underwhelming. I actually am going to downgrade Zach Ertz a little bit more because Jaden Daniels was just ruled out this morning from Monday Night Football. So that means Marcus Mariota is going to be under center, and that offense just doesn't look as fluid, doesn't look as good or explosive when Mariota is under center. But still, Ertz is a strong start. And Travis Kelce, what a fall from grace for Travis Kelce. Used to be the number one tight end in fantasy football, used to be one of the best players in fantasy football, but now has lost a step, close to retiring, I think, but it's still a viable tight end position. Like I said, this is such a sparse position that Kelce is going to have to get some play here. And this Chiefs offense is just so explosive. His upside is unbelievable. So you got to have him in your starting lineup if you have him. And then now looking at the rest of these guys, these are a couple of guys that really were waiver wire pickups the last couple of weeks, especially this guy in blue, Oronde Gadsden, who is a Syracuse alumni, big fan of the orange. And he has had a couple games earlier in the year, solid numbers, but he finally had his breakout game last week against the Colts, had over 100 yards, had a receiving touchdown, finished as a top 3 tight end on the week. And he is just going to continue to gobble up targets, I think. This Chargers team cannot run the ball. Their running back is injured. Their offensive line is injured, so they're going to have to throw it a lot. Their wide receivers are banged up, and his snap share is just continuing to grow. And also similar to that is Mason Taylor, another rookie tight end that is getting a lot of targets. Gadsden's targets are way more valuable. This Jets offense is one of the worst that I have ever seen. So I would definitely play Gadsden over Taylor, and I would maybe even play Gadsden over Kyle Pitts. The only reason I have Kyle Pitts ahead of Gadsden is because he's playing Miami, and Miami is the worst defense in the NFL. We saw what the Browns did last week against them. So I'm expecting a solid game from Kyle Pitts. I don't think he's going to be unbelievable, but I wouldn't be surprised if he throws a touchdown. And then lastly, coming in, we have Harold Fannin Jr. This ranking also will change if David Njoku ends up playing, but he's limited in practice, missed last week with a knee injury. So if you have Harold Fannin, you're just going to have to monitor that. But without Njoku, with Njoku, doesn't really matter. Harold Fannin is a great rookie tight end. Has a huge target share. Quarterback Dylan Gabriel for the Cleveland Browns targets tight ends the most out of any quarterback in the NFL. So that just is a recipe for success for Fannin. Has yet to get in the end zone, but that's going to come sooner or later. And if he doesn't, he's going to have the targets and the receptions. That's going to be valuable in a PPR league. And now get to the last 2 tiers. And these guys are kind of just like in deep leagues, a shot in the dark. Some of these are stronger than others. Some of these, honestly, with the news that came out today, I could even upgrade. But let's look at the first 3 that you see here. Hunter Henry, Cade Otton, and Evan Ingram. Hunter Henry is strictly an upside play. He sometimes finishes as a tight end 1, sometimes finishes with 4 points, and will lose your matchup. But Drake May he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's one of the best fantasy quarterbacks. And Hunter Henry has seen a little bit of that success and has caught a bunch of touchdowns. So he's a high upside play. I right now, I think I would move Cade Otton up to this tier, probably putting him ahead. I'd probably move him up all the way because this Buccaneers team is so banged up. Mike Evans is missing the rest of the season. Emeka Mbuka is going to be he's not missing, but he's a little injured, and Chris Godwin is injured, and even when he plays, he hasn't looked good. So Cade Otton is one of the only reliable targets on this team. So if you picked him up or if you have him, I would absolutely play him. I think he's going to be a strong start this week. And then Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram came into the year. We were expecting a lot from him, a free agency signing to the Denver Broncos, but absolutely stunk it up. Wasn't playing consistent snaps. Sean Payton was not doing what we expected to be. He was not doing what we expected him to be doing with Evan Ingram. But last week, when the team had to throw a lot to catch up, he had a pretty good game. And the Broncos are taking on the Cowboys. And I do expect this to be a little bit of a high-scoring game. The Broncos defense is solid, but did just let Jackson Dart light them up. And this Dallas Cowboys offense is the best in the NFL. So I'm expecting a shootout here. Again, another shot in the dark. Evan Ingram could win you your fantasy matchup in week 8, but could also lose it for you, no doubt. Now, the rest of this tier, we got the last two guys that used to be elite fantasy tight ends, but again, just age, change in team and whatnot, they fell off. Mark Andrews has been really, touch and go, has only had really one good game, but he's getting Lamar back. They're playing against Chicago, which is a weak defense. This is a get-right game for the Ravens post-bye with Lamar back. The team's getting healthier. So I'm expecting a solid game from Mark Andrews, not anything crazy. But that's the thing. With these last two tiers, these guys could kill your matchup. They could catch 2 touchdowns and win you your game. Hawkinson, another guy, used to be unbelievable on the Detroit Lions. I'm not loving this matchup on Thursday night against the Chargers. The Chargers defense is not great against tight ends, but I just really do not like Carson Wentz under center there. So looking to fade TJ Hawkinson if you can also. And then the last tier, these guys are even more like just complete question marks. So I don't even have that much to say about these guys. These guys are all super touchdown or bust, really. The only guy that I would say, the only 2 guys that aren't touchdown or bust is Chigo Okonkwo and Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson has been catching a lot of touchdowns, but the passing volume that Jackson Dart has is really high. I think they're also going to be behind a lot in this game against Philly, so they're going to have to throw the ball to catch up. So he's a sneaky play. And also Chigo Okonkwo playing against Indianapolis. We just saw what Oronde Gadsden did against them, so they're not great against tight ends. Cam Ward, I don't have a lot of confidence in him to have any type of viable fantasy production for his receivers. And the rest of these guys, super kind of. Colson Loveland has been a disappointment. Juwan Johnson started the season strong, but has fallen off. Taysom Hill is the biggest question mark out of the tight end position each and every week. We have no idea what the game plan for Taysom Hill is. And then Jonnu Smith caught a touchdown last week. Aaron Rodgers likes to throw to the tight ends, so we could be seeing another tight end game for the Steelers. But again, I would if I had these guys in my lineup in a 10 or 12 man league, I would be really nervous. That would be impossible. I feel like there has to be better options on your waiver wire or being able to trade for someone for cheap, because this last tier, these last 6 guys really want to stay away from them. But that's what we're looking at here for week 8. Like I said, a bipocalypse. Hopefully this tier list, these rankings are going to help you figure out how to navigate that if you're missing one of your top tight ends. These are the rankings for week 8. The tight end rankings and the rest of my rankings that will be coming out throughout the week are available down below in my Substack. So make sure you guys look at that if you want to see the other positions. There will be videos with the other positions coming out this week, but tight end position not looking great this week. So make sure you guys have set your lineups and make sure you guys get the right tight end to win your matchups. And that's enough for me. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like the video. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. And make sure you don't forget about the Substack. And good luck this week.